Pippi is a thing finder and gets into a fight. Annika woke up early the next morning. She jumped out of bed and ran over to Tommy. "Wake up, Tommy," she cried, pulling him by the arm. "Wake up and let's go and see that funny girl with the big shoes." Tommy was wide awake in an instant. I knew, even while I was sleeping, that something exciting was going to happen today, but I didn't remember what it was, he said as he yanked off his pajama jacket. Off they went to the bathroom, washed themselves, and brushed their teeth much faster than usual, had their clothes on in a twinkling, and a whole hour before their mother expected them, came sliding down the banister and landed at the breakfast table. Down they sat and announced that they wanted their hot chocolate right at that very moment. "What's going to happen today that you're in such a hurry?" asked their mother. "We're going to see the new girl next door," said Tommy. "We may stay all day," said Annika. That morning Pippi was busy making pepparkakor, a kind of Swedish cookie. She had made an enormous amount of dough and rolled it out on the kitchen floor. "Because," said Pippi to her little monkey, "what earthly use is a baking board when one plans to make at least 500 cookies?" And there she lay on the floor, cutting out cookie hearts for dear life. "Stop climbing around in the dough, Mr. Nilsson," she said crossly, just as the doorbell rang. Pippi ran and opened the door. She was white as a miller from top to toe, and when she shook hands heartily with Tommy and Annika, a whole cloud of flour blew over them. "So nice you called," she said, and shook her apron, so there came another cloud of flour. Tommy and Annika got so much in their throats that they could not help coughing. "What are you doing?" asked Tommy. "Well, if I say that I'm sweeping the chimney, you won't believe me, you're so clever," said Pippi. "Fact is, I'm baking, but I'll soon be done. You can sit on the wood box for a while." Pippi could work fast, she could. Tommy and Annika sat and watched how she went through the dough, how she threw the cookies onto the cookie pans and swung the pans into the oven. They thought it was as good as a circus. "Done," said Pippi at last, and shut the oven door on the last pans with a bang. "What are we going to do now?" asked Tommy. "I don't know what you're going to do," said Pippi. but I know I can't lie around and be lazy. I am a thing finder, and when you're a thing finder, you don't have a minute to spare." "What did you say you are?" asked Annika. "A thing finder. What's that?" asked Tommy. "Somebody who hunts for things naturally." Naturally. "What else could it be?" said Pippi, as she swept all the flour left on the floor into a little pile. "The whole world is full of things, and somebody has to look for them. And that's just what a thing finder does," she finished. "What kind of things?" asked Annika. "Oh, all kinds," said Pippi. "Lumps of gold, ostrich feathers, dead rats, candy snap crackers, little tiny screws, and things like that." Tommy and Annika thought it sounded as if it would be fun and wanted very much to be thing finders too, although Tommy did say he hoped he'd find a lump of gold and not a little tiny screw. "We shall see what we shall see," said Pippi. "One always finds something. But we've got to hurry up and get going so that other thing finders don't pick up all the lumps of gold around here before we get them." All three thing finders now set out. They decided that it would be best to begin hunting around the houses in the neighborhood, because Pippi said that although it could perfectly well happen that one might find a little screw deep in the woods, still the very best things were usually found where people were living. "Though for that matter," she said, "I've seen it the other way around too. I remember once when I was out hunting for things in the jungles of Borneo, right in the heart of the forest where no human being had ever before set foot. What do you suppose I found? Why, a very fine wooden leg. I gave it away later to a one-legged old man, and he said that a wooden leg like that wasn't to be had for love or money." Tommy and Annika looked at Pippi to see just how a thing finder acted. Pippi ran from one side of the road to the other, shaded her eyes with her hand, and hunted and hunted. Sometimes she crawled about on her hands and knees, stuck her hands in between the pickets of a fence, and then said in a disappointed tone, "Oh dear, I was sure I saw a lump of gold." "May we really take everything we find?" asked Annika. "Yes, everything that is lying on the ground," said Pippi.